This movie is for everyone that loves violence. Avengement is about Kane Burgess,
a young man who's related to a gangster, and our young man, our hero, doesn't really want to live a life of crime.
He doesn't really want to get involved in criminal activity. He thinks if he does anything wrong, he'll get caught, almost jinxed a little bit.
He needs to borrow some money to start a business, and he goes to his brother and he asks for a small loan, and his brother says, "You can't borrow money off me, but you can do me a small favour."
Gets sent to prison for doing something that he shouldn't have been doing.
His brother, Lincoln, puts a bounty on his head while he's in prison.
No, I'm responsible for a lot of bad things in his life.
He's transformed from a naive kid.
And when Kane comes out of prison, he comes looking for me.
And he goes to his old haunts to find his brother and the other people that put him in this situation.
Instead, sticks that brother comes back with a vengeance.
Kane goes to a pub and holds everyone hostage.
And then we flash back the story as he explains how he became the guy that he is now.
And there's that ferocious, energy between two brothers who don't get on, but one of them wants really, really, really deadly revenge.
To exact his avengement. When you first see him, he is this horrible, damaged, violent character. He looks scary.
For the first 2/3, he's a psychopath as far as you're concerned. What on earth is going on here? He's wearing the black hat, so to speak, and it's only as the third act unravels that you realise, no, he had an ulterior motive, and there was a reason to all of this violence, and there's a reason to it.
Certainly when you see him way back when, he's much more innocent, gullible, younger sort of character. So it was nice to be able to play the two sides of him.
It's about a character who's placed in more than unfortunate circumstances, like so many people in the world, and how he responds to it.
While he's in jail, awful things happen, and our man is turned into a completely different character.
His brother tries to have him took out, puts a bounty on his head, then he becomes this dangerous prisoner, and then, his life in prison is hell. He has his teeth smashed out, he's scarred, as you can see, he's hit with this prison napalm. My character's life on the inside is made a complete misery. People are trying to kill him left, right and centre. It's a completely paranoia-fueled existence.
Not that I've got any sympathy for him, because he's coming causing trouble in my pub, and he needs to be dealt with as well. No.
He wants to get his life back, and that's the most things is how he evolved as a person, as a human being, getting back what he needs to get without having any fear.
He becomes a killer and a hardened fighter in his own right, and a chain of events sees him released, and he comes looking for his brother to settle the score, so to speak.
I've actually done bad things to get myself to this point, so definitely wouldn't call him a hero, not in the slightest. He's a villain, but he's the lesser evil, and he's there for a reason, and the reason is the guys he's going to take out. They turned him into this. They made him this horrible, hardened, rusty nail, and now they're going to have to pay for what they did to him. And that's our story of avengement.
We cast, and we worked very, very hard on the cast on this movie. Joe Karimi and myself, as producing partner, we looked for the very, very best. We were lucky to have Jeremy Zimmerman casting it, and he was very careful in not letting us take on actors that weren't of a calibre that did the best of the film.
My character, his name is Lincoln Burgess.
My brother in the movie is played by Craig Fairbrass, who, watching that guy for a long time, going back to Cliffhanger. Really happy to have him. He's a great physical presence. My character, because I look like this, I'm an intimidating character, so it was really important to us that we get the guy who's playing my brother to be someone who's, you could legitimately believe that he's a dangerous guy, an intimidating presence. Craig Fairbrass certainly has that. He has the size, the build.
It's a treasure to even be able to see him and Scott work against each other.
Some of the dramatic scenes we've done with some great actors, like Fairbrass and Louis Mandylor and Nick Moran and all the other guys we've got in the pub.
And I'm sort of one of the architects of his incarceration and death. So yeah, you're like number two baddie in it, not the brother traitor, but the sort of the best friend trait.
I'm probably Lincoln's biggest guy, aren't I? So,
Yes.
yeah, so
You're absolutely the biggest guy in the movie.
I'm Lincoln's big henchman, so.
I play a character called Chun, who knocks around on the streets a bit. He knocks around with all the gang, the gang who are, you know, out doing things that they shouldn't be doing, you know. Chun likes to think that he's the big lad. He's quite a bit, acts all the big hard lad, clever I am. But in actual fact, I think he's just quite, I think he just enjoys being with all these big gangsters and being with all these cool sort of people and tries to be like them, but I don't think ever will be anything like them. But I do get to, you know, I get to shoot a gun, so I have a bit of fun with that.
Welcome to Avengement, it's weird.
Working with the rest of the cast has been, you know, sort of, it's been a great pleasure. I mean, it was one of the, along with the great script and Jesse, the director, the cast was one of the main reasons why I really wanted to do the film. You know, I'm a big fan of Leo. We've never met before. We're a fan of each other's work for years. You know, I grew up watching Green Street, so it's like I'm chilling with Bother. You know, if I'm putting things on my Instagram, all my mates are like, oh, I'm just chilling with Bother from Green Street.
You know, and obviously there was all sorts of japes and jokes being heckled. And there's a lot of heckling from the crowd. They're funny, witty guys down there, and the piss taking has been savage, and it's fucking great.
I think one of my lasting memories will be finding Thomas Turby sleeping in random places all over the gaff.
I'm called the Phantom Napper. So I think yesterday I managed to squeeze like 3-4 naps in, no matter where I am. Because being in that pub, it's dark, it's smoky, it's hot. Just sitting in there and sort of sitting in the background a bit while the shooting is, you just sort of get knackered. And I'm finding that I'm just falling asleep all day. So if you're looking on social media, you'll find photos of me asleep in the most random places. I just sneak off for a minute on my own and just have a 10-minute nap.
The trick was, to making this movie, was not to go and create sets and make a prison or make a pub and get in a studio bill. We thought right at the start, like the only way to actually make this movie and give it that authentic feel was to actually go to a prison.
It's nice to be in the real place, the real deal. But you can't help but wander around those places going, bloody hell, what would it be like to be living in this place? To know that you're losing years of your life.
And we had to really work out where we're going to be in this prison. It's just so many rooms, and the famous thing about the prison is that it had some of the most notorious gangsters in the UK stay there.
That in itself, that we were shooting on a piece of history, really, on a piece of British history, was you know, it's quite an experience.
The jail, Canterbury, it's like unbelievable places that I couldn't build them. Even if I want to build them, I couldn't build them the same way that they are so authentic.
And then when we came to the pub, we thought it'd be really cool to actually get a real pub that's being disused so we can have the run of the building.
Funny to say, we are shooting in a neighborhood that used to be pretty rough not many years ago, and used to be dominated by the mob as well.
It's been really good to be in those environments because the crew, the cast, they feel it. We had more fights on this one, which took a bit more preparation, but we got some really good pairing of choreographers with Dan Stiles and Luke LaFontaine.
There's the pleasure of then seeing it all come together and seeing it on the monitor and go, oh my God, this is awesome. This is some dope action, you know?
Why should you look forward to the final pub scene in the movie? Now that is what you're going to be waiting for.
I don't want to give anything away, but the pub fight just is sort of the culmination of all the tension and the violence and everything that's happened in the movie.
Last line everywhere, and you know, horrendous. You wouldn't want to be there in real life.
The fight scene in this film obviously phenomenal because he's got his guys here who choreograph all that stuff.
The reason that we've got this major stunt team is because Jesse's giving them some face time and some character name and credit on IMDb. Otherwise, they'd all be working on the Bond or whatever, or Bourne or some other massive action film. So we're really lucky, and I just love listening to them, you know, and chatting with them, and you know, talking about my little CSE and karate while they're ninjas.
Called up a bunch of the guys, and we were fortunate enough to get Lee here. don't know why we had to get a second camera and new lenses because Lee can't fit in a frame. And then we had the secondary task of making sure Lee didn't destroy the set when he went through things or put big dents in the floor. When Lee and Scott fight, it's like Clash of the Titans.
There were moments where I thought, oh my God, this is like scary, because I'm in it, you know. Then I had to come out. I thought, no, I'm not scared, I'm hard. You know? So I came out of it and back to Bez.
There's a lot going on in one scene. You know, in the way it's being put together, the way it's being structured. I think it's going to be really, really entertaining for everyone as well. I mean, that's my favourite as well, because I'm in it as well. But, you know.
Why did I know you were going to say that?
When I did my fighting for real, my mother never wanted me to box. No mother wants to see her son being beaten up. She sees me beaten up and killed in the films all the time, and she loves it because she knows it's not real. But Scott makes it look real. You know, and the stunt guys were training me to do the fight scene. You know, phenomenal at what they do. You know, I take my hat off to them.
Well, when you're fighting somebody like Joe Egan, who was the sparring partner for Mike Tyson, you better be very careful that you dodge that left hook, because it will take your head off.
When I spoke to Scott on the phone, I said, Scott, do I get to win the fight? He said, almost. So I almost won.
I'm always a bit wary of fighting real fighters, to be honest, because some of them don't get about not actually really hitting you. So sometimes you can be a bit hesitant, and really for it to work perfectly, you need to work as a partnership, be in unison with each other. You know, it's meant to look like you're both against each other, but actually you're playing almost like dance partners. You know, screen fighting's different. But Joe did a good job. He didn't take my head off, which is always a good thing.
It was a good effort. I put up a good fight. You know, I know I'm fighting the star of the film, so I can't win, but I gave a good account to myself.
We've gone out of our way to make this film grittier and more realistic.
They're a bit more real than some of the stuff we've done in the past. Very gritty, realistic, violent. Jesse Johnson, the director, loves a bit of violence. I do as well, so definitely spilling a bit of clarity.
He's more aware of what looks good and how to shoot it. So when it comes to the fight stuff, I write it with him or on my own, and he then looks at that and takes that and makes it a reality and adds his to it. And it's a very interesting thing. It's, you know, I will direct some of the shots and do them, but with the actual pure technique stuff, that's Scott.
I mean, Scott is a workhorse. He's not even human. He's got the most amazing work ethic of any action star ever. And it's always a joy working with him.
Okay, and again.
It's great working with Jesse Johnson, the director. I think this is my 5th film with him in the space of 2 or 3 years. We've done a load of work together, and even did one way back when, so this is the 6th movie.
They know exactly how they're going to do the fights, how they're going to do the dialogue, and they have a natural chemistry, which makes it a lot easier on the floor when we're actually rolling the cameras.
Well, I'm very, very lucky in that I work with probably the best fight guy in the world at the moment, Scott Adkins, who's basically the living embodiment of a visual effect.
Jesse is a very, very talented director that know how to get out of Scott not just the action, but the acting.
He sort of lets you improvise quite a lot. He lets you do your own thing. I remember when I first come on board the film, you know, we spoke on the phone, and you know, he was saying, what do you want to do with the character, what accent do you want to do, how do you think you do this, how do you think you do that. So as an actor, it's sort of, it's a great pleasure to be able to go, all right, so you can just do whatever you want with it.
What I love about working with Jesse personally is he is very much about the story and the character, and the action is secondary.
You can see it here on the set from what we see right now, what they're doing together. They know how to work together and to get the maximum out of Scott, to get him to the limit.
You know, he's very much from a stunt action background, so you know, we always knew that side of things was going to be well taken care of and catered for. But you know, with the drama as well, he's been really great.
You know what, I've got a lot of time for him. I think he's a lovely, lovely bloke. Really, I mean that. Knows his shit in his genre without a shadow of a doubt.
The cast coming together, you know, he's put a really strong team together.
be able to make a film, an independent film, and to give all of the freedom to the director and to help him out to get his vision. And he has, for X amount of days, total freedom to do what his vision wants. And for Scott, there's no any pressure from anyone to do your vision. That's one of the greatest things that I like in independent film, because you have the spirit of freedom.
Every Jesse Johnson film I do feels completely different to the last one. And it's been really interesting.
Coming together really well, and the action looks great when you got minds that think alike and good talent. Can't wait till the movie's finished.
That's what you want, it's great collaborators. All this, I studied the French New Wave and the auteur. It's all horseshit. There's no author. You really do rely on a group of collaborators, and we've got some great ones on this. So it's been thrilling. Moved away from England 25 years ago. So when I read the script, it was with a view to how I formulate a very polite, negative response, as in I can't quite do it right now. It's not for me. And about 75 minutes later, I finished the script because it's a very fast read and it was very compelling. And I swore at the top of my lungs and said, I should never have read it, because there was something about the third act that really, really profoundly affected me. And when you read a script, you look into how you're going to make it and what you might be able to do to help tell that story. And I just felt the overriding concern that someone else was going to get this script and someone else would direct it and do a bad job of it. So I felt that I had to do it because I didn't want anyone else to do it. And that's usually the best reason for choosing a script.
It's not just a linear story, it's a little bit more sophisticated, because usually you always have one villain that is a villain and one guy is a good guy. But here it's more complex because you're talking about a family. And a family got another layer of emotion that we cannot behind him. It's his bigger brother and he betrayed him, but and it caused him to a big mess.
And it's a story told in a sort of non-linear fashion, which hopefully will entertain people and make them stay till the end.
What type of film do I think Avengement will be? It's going to be pretty violent, I'll tell you that. It's very British, it's got elements of Bronson and Scum, and the prison part of the story is very prevalent. That's a third of the movie.
I'm not a big fan of melding two films together and saying it's like a cross between, But if you did have to, it would be like a cross between Goodfellas and Petrified Forest or something like that. The home invasion movie, except in this case it's a pub full of villains.
There's lots of fight sequences and things like that which people expect from my movies. But it's not done at the expense of story, it's always character-driven stuff, and there's a reason for it. And they're not martial arts fights, but they're brawls.
There's not a lot of stuff made like this here, this level of action. I mean, it's literally, I've never read a script with so many fights. It's every other page. It is relentless action.
This thing where it's about that high-end, high-concept action that you don't normally see in British or European films, and bringing that to what would be a sort of Essex classic type sort of gangster film. It's a very, very interesting mix.
I think, and we hope, that will elevate it, from the genre. I think the drama, as opposed to being, with no disrespect, some stuff going on in between fights, I think the drama in this will really elevate it. I think
something a little bit unexpected, more character-driven.
And that's the plan, is to just reach a little bit further than we should, to aim a little bit higher and to overstep ourselves as much as we possibly can every day, and hopefully make entertainment that's of some value.
It's not just kick bollock and scramble, you know what I mean?
I think it's just going to be a great fun film to watch.
You should see this movie. Fucking everyone, mate, especially 6-year-old children.